Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's the Saturday Night Hockey Show on Monday night. Trade Day Deadline Spectacular. So, thank you for joining us, Dave Valente, and as always, joined by my partner in crime, Travis Aurednik. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, Dave. How are you?
Oh,
Are you just
just
underimpressed
another.
with trade days? I am.
Oh God. Well, so I was calmed down. Last night I get a little alert saying Taylor Hall's been traded, and I was like, oh God.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it's
Taylor Hall
another.
has decided that he wants to be a Bruin for a while. According to Taylor Hall, he would like to stay there for a few years.
Well, I'm
So it
sure.
sounds like this guy knows he's at the end of his rope and about to start swinging.
Yeah. So
Because this is his last shot. If he doesn't make it with the
well, it's just
Bruins,
his
then
last shot at significant money. He may bounce around like a Jason Spezza or Danny Heatley towards the end of his career. Like he just kind of bounces around to various teams and steals paychecks. But oh my God. So I looked through it, and honestly, I was angrier not that we got a second round draft pick out of for Taylor Hall, but the
the
fact that
conditions.
we dealt Curtis Lazar, which Curtis Lazar is not going to win you a Stanley Cup at all. He's a serviceable player. If you give him a very specifically defined role, he's going to be a very good player for you. He's a very kind of a heart and soul type of player. So I mean, it's the guy. He was not the problem in Buffalo. Um,
Kind of your story of, or your theme of the trade deadline, though, is who can we pick in Buffalo that's not responsible for what's happening in Buffalo?
well, the story of Buffalo goes many years deep, and
It all starts
it
with
all
the
relates
chicken.
to the just ineffectual ownership of that franchise. The Pagulas, from the day that they got there, the day that Terry Pagula said, from this day forward, the reason for existence of the Buffalo Sabres is to win a Stanley Cup. I think maybe they're talking about souvenir cups from their concessions. I don't know. I like this franchise has been so mismanaged, and I lay this at the feet of the Pagulas, who want to be way too involved. They want to be the Jerry Jones of the NHL, and he puts Kim Pagula as president of hockey operations. It's not a gender thing. I mean, if Terry Pagula himself was the president of hockey operations for the Buffalo Sabres, it wouldn't matter. These people have no clue how to run a hockey team, and right now it just seems like this is a tax write-off for them.
It's bad.
It is bad. It is bad because we just traded Taylor Hall, which I'm fine. Get him out of here. 2 goals, 17 assists in 30 some odd games for $8 million a year.
Austin Matthews was regularly putting up more points per game
Yeah.
than Taylor Hall had this year.
Well, at least goals. Yeah.
Or goals, yeah.
Just the absolute frustration. I don't know what kind of player this Anders Bjork guy is.
Bjork is a good way.
Well, I would hope that he develops. I mean, the knock on him is that he has not developed as fast as Boston wanted him to. He's been, he's drafted quite a few years ago. There is ties to Coach Don Granato. I think he coached a team that Bjork was on as a junior. And so, I mean, that might be part of the reason why Bjork was requested on the back end. I calmed down from the trade this morning. Like, I'm seeing everybody pundit all over the place, kind of roasting the trade. I calmed down from it until this afternoon. Basically, the 3 p.m. deadline hits, and we start seeing a flurry of trades because it was a very slow morning. Like nothing really happened until about 2:45.
Dude,
And
every trade that I saw, I was just like,
yeah,
I had two noises. It was either or man, like because
it was a very dull day. Like it put the dead in deadline, and
it's just people I didn't want to see get traded.
Yeah.
Like
And
Fleury from Carolina. I love Fleury. I don't want to see him go.
sure.
Jacob Verana from the Capitals. I hate the Capitals passionately, especially Tom Wilson. But I want to see Verana have a chance to actually be somebody, and that's not going to happen in
Well, I don't know that it would
Detroit.
have happened in Washington. I think that it was so hard for him to stay and crack that top six that maybe he does develop a little bit better with more important ice time in Detroit.
Yeah, but he was pretty much a mainstay as a second change power play guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he was a
I'm
mainstay
assuming
there.
that's exactly what Mantha is going to be doing. So, but this is what triggered me in the afternoon was watching that trade come in, where you see that for Anthony Mantha, a guy who's never got more than 48 points in a season, never scored more than 20 some odd goals in a season, got a first, a second, and two players in return. Are you kidding me? There's rumors that
Good players. Good players.
yeah, well,
If it was like Hershey
Puck's,
Bears second string goalie and
yeah,
some
NHL players.
defenseman that we just picked up from Sweden that's never been to America and also doesn't know how to say anything but fish.
Yeah,
Like that's different. These aren't nobodies. These are actual
NHL players.
quality NHL players.
I think Panik is borderline, but he's a sandpaper guy, kind of guy that you want on those bottom lines. But
this is a big come up for Detroit.
Yeah, massive haul for them. But here's the thing with the Hall trade is that there was rumors that Hall said that he would only go to Boston. That he would only accept a trade to Boston. There were other teams that were interested, but when it came down to it, that Hall would only accept a trade to Boston. I would have rathered we ate that. Like, I would have told Taylor Hall, you know what? I know you got the no trade clause, but here's what's going to happen. We got offers from several different teams because I guarantee you, if the Capitals were willing to dump that on Anthony Mantha, they would have done the same thing for Taylor Hall.
Oh yeah, and that would have been.
Capitals were rumored to be in on the Hall sweepstakes. So if Hall comes to you with that, you say, "Look, Taylor, we're not going to trade you then. We're gonna not play you either. So you're going to be going into a contract year with 2 goals, 17 assists, and lots of people talking about you being a locker room issue, and have fun getting a contract off of that. I would rather die with my boots on than to give in and get that.
I feel like Bjork's going to be better fit for Buffalo anyway.
I hope so. I mean,
only because his name means bear in Norwegian.
Sure.
And he couldn't make it with the Bruins. There's a joke there. I'm kind of sleepy, man.
Yeah, Bjorn. Actually, Bjorn is bear in German.
It's Bjork, or not German in
Swedish.
One of them Bjork, because I went to school.
Bjork is that singer from Sweden or from Iceland or whatever.
Yeah, it means bear.
Huh.
Yeah. Because I went to school for Bjork, so.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the trades that went down today. All right. So there were, I think, about 17 trades today. There were a few trades yesterday, so we'll hit those because we covered everything on Saturday. But Devils acquired Jonas Siegenthaler from the Caps. Just a bit move. That was probably to clear out salary to make a bigger acquisition.
Question.
Yeah.
Is this many 3-team deals normal? Like, did I just miss that? Okay.
No, this is.
I was thinking, like, geez, did I just not pay attention before and I never look at, like, that middle team? Nothing is connected right now, dude. Everything's a stairway.
Yeah, you would maybe see one.
Right.
3-team trade during a trade deadline show, but throughout the and it's a way now because I think a team can only cover maximum 50% of a player's salary. So the way to cover more salary they figured out is to trade it to a second team that takes 25% of the salary, so that the team acquiring the player eventually gets only has to pay like 25% prorated. So I mean, you can get a player for fairly cheap, like with Taylor Hall. If it had been a 3-team trade, you could have gotten him for $500,000.
Which I feel like is about the street value for should be for Taylor Hall right now.
Boy.
Also, is it just me or does Toronto seem like they were getting frustrated, so they like bumped the trade down to easy?
Right? Yeah,
just so they could stack their team for the playoff cup run on Xbox One.
Yeah, they really have. They're one of my trade deadline winners.
Dude, they just won the trade.
Yeah, I mean, getting Nick Foligno, which
for free, they got Nick Foligno for free.
They gave a first round draft pick for it. So I mean, it's not like it wasn't like the Boston trade. So
it's a first round draft pick. Whenever they've got a team that is all under 30, they have 28 lines of solid depth if you go down to the Marlies, and then below that.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to do with that draft pick?
I know. And it's a late round draft pick because they'll probably finish in the top 2 or 3 in the NHL. And they'll probably, they're my pick to get out of at least the North Division. So, they're going to finish in the bottom 4. So this is going to be like since there are 32 picks in this round, so it will be 28 or higher. So yeah, it's not a big thing for them. It helps Columbus certainly. So
but they're getting ready to just throw a bunch of sharks into a fishbowl and see what happens. Because these guys are going to be fighting like crazy to try to stay relevant with this team.
But two acquisitions, because they also got David Riddick. And they, I won't even discount that Stefan Nason pickup from San Jose as part of that 3-team trade. That he's a serviceable player. I don't know that he's going to get a whole lot of ice time in Toronto, but it'll be interesting. And Toronto was probably the most active of the North teams because they're so far up. Oh, and Austin Matthews just potted a goal. It's 2-1 Montreal. But Matthews just got another goal. So
I've got the Detroit Carolina game on.
Oh, okay.
Also, before that, Jordan Stahl's 1,000th game is today.
All right.
He's the second Stahl to 1,000 and the 4th to play in the NHL.
Yep. All right. So David Riddick, he was kind of the odd man out when Markstrom was acquired by the Calgary Flames. He's gone on runs before. This is just goaltender insurance, in case. Yeah, I don't think Freddie Anderson's coming back. I think they've kind of buried him for cap reasons. And the Riddick is nice insurance at this point in case Campbell, has issues or gets injured or whatever. So,
as a Bennington spaz out.
Oh yeah, I mean, as quickly as it turns on, it turns off, and all of a sudden he returns to earth. I mean, that's the danger of having a guy get this hot right now is that what happens when he has his first taste of issues in Toronto. So, but good on the Maple Leafs for getting that insurance. They are definitely going for it. They're definitely winners of today's trade deadline, or at least the entirety of the trade deadline. Mike Riley was acquired from the Ottawa Senators by the Boston Bruins, and this was actually a good move right here. The Islanders acquiring Braden Coburn from the Senators for a 7th round pick, not a high price. Braden is not somebody who's going to win you a Stanley Cup, but he is a reliable back end player that probably is fit nicely into a third pair defensive roll. And that takes us out of Sunday's acquisitions. The ones that were announced overnight, the Hall trade and the Carter trade were consummated in the morning on today. So abomination of Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar to the Boston Bruins for Anders Bjork and a second-round 21 pick. Here's another thing about this trade that really makes me mad. What would have it cost for Kevin Adams to make that second-round pick a conditional pick, saying, Boston, give us your first-round pick if you win the Stanley Cup? And if Boston wins the Stanley Cup, we get the first-round pick. It's what would Boston care at that point? It's the 32nd pick.
Yeah, but
and it's conditional.
Boston's a notorious non-budge team.
Yeah, see,
and I think that right now the situation is get absolutely anything you can out of Hall, because number one, you don't know who's actually interested in Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall's so wishy-washy, but number two, if he only wants to go to Boston and Boston knows that, like, you're going to get whatever Boston will give you for him.
Yeah, but I would have done exactly what I said. Was, you know what, Taylor,
just push that envelope.
Give me another team, or we're not trading you, because the offer we're getting from Boston is not sufficient. And especially if we have offers from other teams, that we'll entertain other teams, but if you're going to push us on Boston, then we're get comfy, put your feet up, because you're done playing in Buffalo, but you're not leaving the city.
They should have sent him to Ottawa, which is like the gulag for NHL.
I don't know. I think Buffalo is the gulag at this point. But it wouldn't
Jeff
have.
Carter.
Oh, what happened?
Oh no, I was just saying Jeff Carter.
Yeah, well, Jeff Carter getting from LA, that was a surprise, because Jeff Carter's been kind of a dude that's tied himself to LA ever since he got dealt from Pittsburgh, from Philadelphia years ago, and became kind of one of those pieces that helped build a juggernaut in LA.
The world is screwing up right now, stepping against LA. Giving LA picks, giving LA anything is going to result in the ultimate demise of anybody that thinks you're going to win a cup from 2023 to 2026. I am confident that this young LA team is going to be so stupid hot, that they're going to have to implement a rule that they're not allowed to stomp on the rest of the West. I'm really excited I am excited for LA, because I'm just living vicariously through them, because they're kind of close to Phoenix.
Yeah. Carter is, if you had shown me this trade at the beginning of the season, I would have told you that Jim Rutherford's still in charge of the Penguins. It's exactly what he would do. Pick up a, back end of a career guy like, Marlowe or Gillen in the past. But this is Hextall and what's his name, Brian Burke. That's them. So
just made a stupid nice save
for
Detroit.
Yeah, Reimer.
No, Bernier.
Bernier. Okay, Bernier. Yeah, Reimer's.
Yeah, Reimer's Carolina.
Carolina, yeah.
And he's in that for Carolina right now, actually.
Okay.
All right. Who's next? We got
Edmonton gets Dmitry Kulikov, who used to play for the Sabres from New Jersey, in exchange for a fourth-round pick. That's actually not a bad trade for Edmonton. It solidifies the back end. It's kind of like the Coburn. Oh, I'm sorry, and we also missed the Gaudet trade. That's actually interesting as well. But the Kulikov trade, kind of like the Coburn trade, in that it's a solid third pair defenseman. That he solidifies the back end for the Oilers. I still don't like their trade deadline, and the fact that they did not acquire any secondary scoring at all.
When did Kulikov fall off? Because I feel like he was really relevant for a while, and then one day he just wasn't.
He went to Buffalo.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. No, he was struggling. He was struggling. What was he in Florida or something like that?
I have a strong recollection of his existence, and that's about it.
Yeah. So this was an interesting trade because I did not think this team would be active at all. But they made 2 trades today. Chicago acquires Adam Gaudette from the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for forward Matthew Highmore. So Gaudette, very serviceable forward, but I was surprised that Vancouver was trading today, just because they barely opened up their facilities. So, and from what I hear, they had a positive test yesterday, which is why they delayed opening the facilities again. So, Vancouver gets back to playing on Friday supposedly. So, but they were busy. They traded Gaudette, and they made another trade later. We'll get to that one in a minute. This one, I kind of scratched my head. Tampa Bay acquiring another defenseman, Frederick Claesson from San Jose, in exchange for a goaltender, Magnus, which is a great name.
Magnus Krona sounds like a boss fight waiting to happen.
Magnus Krona sounds like a strain of the virus, man.
Magnus Krona sounds
I got
like
the Magnus Krona, brother.
Magnus Krona sounds like a Tekken fighter.
Yeah, true.
On Nintendo. Magnus Krona.
Colorado Avalanche got Carl Soderberg back, this time from Chicago Blackhawks, in exchange for a forward and a college player from Notre Dame, Ryder Ralston. Not a bad trade. Carl Soderberg can give you some depth scoring.
He was good for Arizona.
Yeah. He's got some speed, so
would recommend.
Yeah. This was actually a good trade, I thought. Vegas Golden Knights getting Matthias Janmark and Nick from the Blackhawks, the Sharks. The Sharks, I was a little bit surprised that the Sharks were really sellers at this point. They're acquiring draft picks. They're acquiring, they're letting teams use their cap space to make trades and acquire picks. So, but Matthias Janmark going to the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights, in their short existence, do have a record of getting decent trade day pickups. Mark Stone being one of them. So we'll see how this works out for Matthias Janmark and where he slots into that lineup.
Oh, also, this is the first time that I've seen this. I am watching the Detroit-Carolina game on Bally Sports.
Ah, you haven't had a Bally Sports game yet? Well, you watch a lot of Carolina games, right? And I think they don't play on Bally Sports, do they?
Well, no, this is a home game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a home game on Bally. I don't know. I feel like I just kept missing it because I was watching some West Coast stuff. And then I was busy there for a few weeks. I didn't really watch a ton. I was watching more highlights on YouTube and reading articles.
It's jarring, and I wonder how hard it is because I know they made this move and for the baseball season to get this in before the start of the baseball season, because a lot of the regional networks double dip. They do the hockey, they also do baseball and some basketball as well. But for a hockey announcer to go through the entire season, and probably worked several years under one team,
and then,
as Fox Sports, and then all of a sudden, one day you were switched over to calling it Bally Sports. I wonder if they get like a fine jar if you say the words Fox Sports. So Anaheim acquires Hayden Fleury. I know you don't like this trade, Hayden Fleury.
I really don't.
For Yanni Hakanpää and a 6th-round pick in 2020.
I don't like to see any of those young defensemen go away from Carolina, because that's really what makes Carolina so slick right now.
Well, I think this is more of a move to get some kind of asset, because Hakanpää is a young guy. And the Leafs just scored. It looks like tied it up 2-2 with 5:03 left in the second.
Yeah, Hawkenpah is going to go straight to Seattle in the expansion.
Well, I don't know because players under the certain age are not eligible to go. So that's probably why they got him. Hayden Fleury probably was in a spot where he was eligible to be picked up. And they're, when you look at the blue line for Carolina, yeah, they're young.
Carolina's going to lose like Jake Bean or somebody on.
Yeah, they're going to.
I don't want to see that.
This is just a move to get because Hawkenpah is not a bad player. I mean, he was, I think, a relatively high draft pick.
We know what Fleury has. I feel like that's one of those ain't broke, don't fix it things.
Yeah, Fleury is going to probably get protected in Anaheim.
And I feel bad for Fleury for going to Anaheim because I don't want to see anybody from Carolina go somewhere that I wouldn't want anybody from Arizona to go. And if you tell me that I'm going from Cup run in the East to Anaheim, it's like
kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I think that one is all because Seattle's coming to the league next year. On that,
I already hate Seattle.
Draft is in July.
I hope that Seattle just gets all the players that nobody wants to be around.
Oh.
Both the Tchucks, Tom Wilson, Brad Marchand.
Oh,
just stack up all the
people
trash in the NHL. Bring back Claude Lemieux. Scott Stevens for captain.
And then there's that stinker of a trade. God bless Steve Yzerman for pulling that off. That was just a king's ransom for really just a middling player. And maybe Anthony Mantha takes off, on a better team, but I just don't see it for Anthony Mantha to pull in 2 NHL players, a first-round pick and a second-round pick.
Dude, they really must know something we don't because I mean, Mantha for me had all but disappeared into obscurity.
Yeah, he's kind of like one of those.
He's a ghost.
He's on. Yeah, he's on Detroit, but he's not like a Dylan Larkin, or he's not.
If you ask me one stat of Anthony Mantha, I don't think that I could give you one.
Well, I had to look it up today. He has never had a season where he scored more than 48 points.
That's what I'm saying. It's 20 some odd days.
Yeah, how does that dude pull down a first round pick? That alone is mind boggling. Is the first round pick and the second round pick?
Well, Jacob Vrana is to overtime what Taylor Hall is to drafts. Jacob Vrana is like the king of overtime, man. So it's like,
yeah, but that's
Richard Panik's really good too.
Richard Panik's sandpaper. I mean, he's not the most talented player in the world. He does know how to throw a cheap shot every once in a while, but
for his position, he does well.
Yes, yeah, he's a role player, and I mean, this was just an absolute king's ransom that Steve Yzerman was able to pull from Washington on this trade. I've seen lots of Capital fans just livid over this trade.
I love Vrana. Vrana was the only thing that was keeping me not completely hating the Capitals. So now it's just floodgates open. Let it go. Hope to release the Kraken,
And then the second trade by Vancouver was acquiring Madison Bowie and a 5th-round pick from Chicago. Chicago was interesting. Oh, Montreal just scored and took the lead back.
It's 3-2 over there.
Yeah, 3-2, 3:38 left. So, I will say one thing about Campbell is that he's letting them in at a pretty good pace. That's the luxury of playing for a team like Toronto, which scores video game numbers
at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put this all on. Maybe that was kind of a weak goal. Nice snipe, but Yeah, so Vancouver was surprisingly active for a team that's has been in COVID protocol for as long as they were. Plus, apparently, it was one of the Magnus Corona strains of coronavirus. Magnus Corona. So Florida gets Sam Bennett. This trade I love for Florida. Sam Bennett, I think, has run his.
I'm excited for Sam Bennett to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't vibing with the coach. He's been struggling all year. Get him out of there. Get him into a team that's competitive. I'd like to see what he can do. If he continues to struggle, then perhaps it's more of a him issue. But I think it really was just a square peg in a round hole in Calgary for Sam Bennett. And
Calgary's like a super particular team.
Yeah.
Everything that comes out of Calgary is just a shade off. It seems like you have to be like Calgary, Winnipeg, and Ottawa. It's like if you want to function on this team, you have to be like this proper level of not right. Which is like most of the people that I know from Calgary, Ottawa, and Winnipeg. Like they're just a shade different. It's northern
That's
Canada.
that Western thing. Yeah, it's a north and western thing, I guess.
It's like people from West Virginia.
Yeah, jeez.
We're awful.
Bastards they are. Montreal got Eric Gustafson from the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers were interesting case study today because they did not acquire anything really. And they're not
like that's a steal for him.
Yeah. They got a really good deal for Gustafson,
which I guess waivers was next.
Well, and that's the thing. The Flyers' defense has been just hot garbage this year. So, I guess you get what you pay for. Maybe in this case, we'll see if he's able to turn it around in Montreal. Now, remember, all these players going across to Canada have to do a 7-day quarantine, so we won't see these guys in the lineup until next Monday. At the
3 now.
What's that?
3 days.
Oh, is it 3 days now? That's interesting because of Canada's recent upping of lockdowns and stuff like that. I'm surprised that they've dropped it, but
I looked into it today. I found 2 articles that said 3. I was like, I don't know, but I found it 2 separate places. So,
jeez,
yeah. I have a good friend that's in Calgary, and actually I have several good friends in Calgary, and she's like, yeah, they're going back to the start.
Yeah,
she's like, it's Calgary. She's actually in Airedale.
Okay.
And she said that it's basically just like if you took day 25 of COVID, that is where they are going to be by the end of the week.
See, this is Canada is not able to distribute the vaccine as well as what we've been able to do.
Which makes no sense. You would think that if West Virginia can do it and you can't, you're the problem.
Yeah.
We can't even distribute cones on roadwork projects. Like, I mean,
hey, we West Virginians know our medication, okay?
If you go to Kroger and Logan, they can't redistribute the carts back to the corrals.
True.
It's, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, it's
weird that Canada can't figure it out, especially with all that free universal health care that works so well.
I guess.
Yeah.
Get what you pay for. So Eric Goodbranson is on the move from Ottawa. Ottawa did have a nice little fire sale today, and they picked up a lot of good assets. And they got a prospect, Brandon Fortunato, and a 23rd. It's a 7th round draft pick, but really it's just clearing out cap space. The Senators are going to have just a massive amount of cap space going into next season.
Which makes you wonder if the Senators aren't going to try to pull some type of Tortorella and 18 trick with Panarin and Bobrovsky and Duchesne, something along those lines.
Well, I don't know that they want to trade any of that core, that young core. So they're probably going to spend just a ton of money to try and get. I mean, they could probably have Bobrovsky if they wanted him from Florida. I think they would be okay with getting rid of that contract.
I mean those guys. I meant that play.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Putting the Suicide Squad together.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't even started to look at who's going to be a free agent this summer.
Dude, I've been in so far over my head with just trying to keep up with trades.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's what you do in August.
As we get closer to the end of the season, we'll take a look at the trade bait that or not trade bait, but the free agent market and get an idea of who's going to be available. But this was an interesting acquisition. Michael Raffle he's kind of a floater on that Flyer team, kind of going up and down the lineup. He's never really been able to solidify a position there. But the Caps get him in exchange for a 5th round pick. I expect him to probably get 3rd line time with the Caps.
I don't know, dude. The Caps are stacked pretty deep.
They are. He does have a decent scoring ability. So I think he gives them that depth scoring that they would need.
Man, he's a big guy. He's a good body presence too.
Yeah. So interesting moves from the Flyers today. They did sign Horton or not. I'm sorry, Scott Lawton to a contract extension. There was rumors that he would be on the move, but they were able to lock him up long term. And of course, Alex Iafallo was signed as well. He was also another player that was rumored to be moving, but they got him under contract for 4 years and $16 million.
Yeah, the Flyers are in such a weird spot right now.
Yeah. That loss yesterday to Buffalo was
any loss to Buffalo. Any loss.
Well, the funny thing is, so they play 8 games in that series. Buffalo finishes 3-5 in that series, but outscore Philly by I think 4 goals. So the 3 wins that Buffalo had were a 5-3 victory. Oh no, so they outscored about 2 goals. A 5-3 victory, a 6-1 victory, and a 6-1 victory, a 6-0 victory. So that's how you lose 5 of 8 and still score more than the other team. But Philly's in a rough shape now. You dealt a few pieces. You didn't bring anything in to supplement your lineup. You did re-sign Lawton, but you are not. You're not going to make up that difference to Boston. With Boston making their deals throughout the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens. Sharks acquire Alexander Barabanov.
Yeah, so earlier whenever that notification came up on my phone from Bleacher Report,
yeah,
the first thing that I thought that it said was Alexander Barkov. And I audibly gasped like I just discovered a dead body at a dinner party after the lights flickered. And I looked at it and I was like, that's not a real person. Never mind. And then I just kept going.
Yeah, so it was an exchange for a forward, Antti Suomela. I don't know what this deal is all about because I don't anticipate to see a guy like Antti Suomela in the lineup for the Maple Leafs.
Not anytime soon.
Not unless there's just.
It would take so much effort right now to be in the lineup for the Maple
plane
Leafs.
Crash. I don't know. Yeah,
he's going to go be the mascot of the Phillies. I feel like that's the next open position is if you want to be the guy in the bear suit.
Oh, maybe they need another Zamboni goalie. I don't know.
I mean, David Ayers put up. Ayers put up.
Yeah.
They should sign him in Carolina just to sign autographs at the rink.
Exactly. And Toronto wasn't done. They got Ben Hutton from the Anaheim Ducks.
Which that is going way too quietly. Ben Hutton for a 5th round pick. That's a deal.
It is, especially a team that does need does need defense.
Ben Hutton is good though. That's the thing. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's been in a bad spot, and I don't understand this play at all. This makes no sense to me.
I don't know. I guess Hutton's probably a UFA on the back end of this deal, so it's a rental.
Well, and honestly, there's so many weird combinations in Toronto that like just don't make sense.
Yeah,
like Jumbo Joe and Austin Matthews, like just weird stuff that's going on in Toronto. I can't help but find myself almost kind of rooting for Toronto right now.
Oh, I can't do it. Can't do it,
dude. It's cool. It's cool what they're doing.
No, you just can't. You can't be a Buffalo fan and say I'm rooting for Toronto.
There's nothing to be a fan of, Dave. Just give it up. At least they both have the color blue. I feel like that's about as good as.
Oh, that's a great story. Buffalo came into the league and they
were 67 expansion, right?
No, 1970 expansion with the Vancouver Canucks. So they Punch Imlach, they poached him away from the Leafs a couple years after winning the Leafs last Stanley Cup in '67. They poach, Imlach is fired by Toronto, and Buffalo picks him up immediately to be their first coach. And he wanted a lot of things modeled after the Maple Leafs, including the royal blue jerseys. Toronto at that time was grandfathered in the ability to have jerseys without name plates on the back of it. They're starting to introduce it at that point. And Punch was angry that the league was making the Sabres do it. So, he was doing things to, it took them forever to put the nameplates on. They would tell them that they weren't able to do it. And then when they finally, stepped in to make them do it, Punch Imlach had the nameplates made with the letters sewn in royal blue, so you couldn't see the name on the nameplate. It just blended into the nameplate. So, and the league stepped in once again, and they finally did put the gold lettering on the uniforms. But Punch Imlach was a character, and
if your name's Punch, you have to be a character.
Yeah, and people say that since when the Leafs fired Punch Imlach, they've never gone back to the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's the curse of Punch is why they have never gone back to the finals. So, see,
for me, the curse of Punch happened at prom.
Yeah.
Whenever little Ricky decided to put laxatives in the Punch of prom. We don't talk about it much these days. Anyway,
I had a story almost like that where I went to a Mexican restaurant the day before my graduation and almost missed my graduation.
Yeah, I got some good. I was in Dallas, stuck on one of the loops, and I'd eaten in a little local Mexican place. And as soon as I walked in the door, my first thought was, "You don't want to eat here." And I was like, "You know what? No, man, you got to expand your horizons. People eat this stuff every day, and they survive."
Wait a minute, was it Ponchos?
This was in Dallas, Texas.
Well, no, Dallas is actually one of the few places that still have a Ponchos. It was
Pancho Villa?
No, it was just called Ponchos. I mean, Pancho Villa was the little mascot on the sign, but
right. I know Pancho Villa up in Virginia where I work a lot. They have Pancho Villas. They have 4 of them in one town, little town.
Ponchos is a Mexican all-you-can-eat place.
And no, this was very long Spanish name.
Okay.
It was like the sign was like 3 lines.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I think that one of them was like a money transfer ad, but I'm not really sure. And I was like, the worst part is trying to watch me order at one of these places. It's because it's like, I'm not intimidated. I don't care. I don't know how to say what I want.
A compolo.
Yeah, right. I just right, can I get one of them? One of them? And they're like, which one? I'm like, that one.
I think that's a game. That's a game for them. That get the silly gringo to try and pronounce some Spanish stuff.
Dude, one of my worst moments, because I worked in a sawmill where I was the only white guy on my crew. Everybody's Guatemalan. So I got picked on constantly because I was 320 pounds at the time. Like I'd walk from one end of the chain to the other. You know what I mean? And so they called me El Gordo del Blanco, which I think we've been over.
Yeah.
But it was like one of the funniest things ever was while they were trying to teach me Spanish, like I had to listen to myself say this stuff. And I'm like, I felt ridiculous. I felt like I was getting my face painted at a carnival as an adult. Because everybody's like looking at you, they're laughing a little bit. I walked into a gas station in Florida, and this is my worst not conscious of the situation story. I walk into a bathroom and it's groggy. I was playing music the night before, you know how that goes. And so I'm like, "You got a bathroom?" And the guy goes, "What?" Okay. Baño? Or no, I said bendejo.
No.
I forgot the word for bathroom. So I'm like, bendejo, and he's like,
"What did you call me?"
And I'm like, bendejo, and I'm like doing the hand motion for like standing in a urinal, you know? I'm like, bendejo, and he's like, I'm like, I just need to use the bathroom, dude. And he goes, "Oh, okay. Yeah, it's down the hall. Sorry. That's I think the word you're looking for is baño, and I'm not Mexican, I'm Indian."
Oh.
And I'm like,
Oops.
"Thanks, man. Have a good day." I went to the bathroom and left.
There you go.
But there was like a bunch of people standing in line that definitely did speak Spanish, and they were like, watching me. It's like, "Baño, bendejo, I don't know."
Oh,
I
shit.
just gotta pee.
Yeah. In the final trade we had that got reported, actually a third trade by the Vancouver Canucks, Jordy Ben going to the Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg was surprisingly quiet on the trade deadline. I mean, this was pretty much their big get, which is not much.
Dude, Canada was quiet for the most, other than
Toronto. In Toronto, well, and really the reason why Toronto felt, in Montreal to an extent, but the reason why Toronto was so brazen about cross-border trades is they don't need these guys for a week or two. I mean, like they hired Riley Nash, who's injured, for God's sakes. I mean, like this guy won't be able to come back until midway through the playoffs, probably not until the division finals or the first semifinals. So
no, I mean, this is just playoff depth. Like, we might need you, so we're going to put you on the shelf.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, good for them. I'm glad they're able to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Toronto's going for it. But yeah, a lot of interesting trades. So, who do you have as winners for the trade deadline?
Oh, it's by far Detroit.
Yeah,
Detroit won the trade deadline by leaps and bounds. I don't even know who you would put as a secondary here.
I mean, I think you have to put Toronto in that conversation because they bolstered their depth, and they got goalie depth. They got defensive.
I wouldn't call that a win. I don't think that's a win.
I do. I do. If you're a team that's had problems getting out of the first round of playoffs the last 4 or 5 years,
they're still not getting out of the first round.
Okay, if they don't, they're going to burn what are they? Like
Vancouver in 2009 again.
Well, no, they're not going to burn Toronto down. They're just going to burn the arena down. I think every arena in Canada is called the Scotiabank something. So,
it's still the Garden, isn't it?
No, it's was the Air Canada Center. Now it's like Scotiabank Center or something like
Air
that.
Canada Center is too close to soccer talk for me.
Yeah,
I'm not fond of airlines sponsoring hockey teams because at some point they might start making the players wear stripes.
Or at least ads all over the European hockey jerseys. Like I'm wearing one today. I've got
Norway,
Team Norway jersey. Gotta love the polar bear on the jersey. But That's the worry when they allowed the teams to have those helmet stickers, is that it's just going to go from there. That we're going to see a helmet sticker this year, and
It's going to happen.
next year
It will happen.
you might see an ad on the hem of the pants, and then 5 years from now you've got every face circle on the ice just painted up like somebody's playing for the Stavanger Oilers. So
they're tribbles, man. Ads are tribbles.
Yeah.
Every time you look back, there's another one.
There's another one.
I think that they should start doing half of the ad space is like a split screen.
Well,
half the intermission ads, you get two on the same screen.
Yeah.
And neither of them have noise. And it's just like two car ads at once. Do something like that, because car companies will pay half, or they'll pay like 3/4 as much, and then you just make it extra half.
They really have innovated ads for hockey games now. You're starting to see more digital ads displayed on the ice so that they can rotate them. Like it used to be, you'd get an ad on the ice, it'd have to be painted on the floor. Yeah, well, they have to be painted on the floor, and then, which is the issue that happened with the Winter Classic when they had the logos painted on the ice, and they were dark colors, and the sun was beating down on them and started melting the ice. But they're getting more digital ads. You're seeing them on the glass on the back. You're seeing them inside the blue lines, and that's it's a creative way to get more ad revenue instead of having just one ad that you can only show for part of the for the entirety of the home stand or whatever. That you can change your ads and get more ad revenue. The NHL is definitely going to have to be much more proactive and innovative when it comes to ad revenue going forward, because this season has set them back as far as revenue goes, and if they don't, you're gonna see situations where teams like probably Arizona, some of the Canadian markets fall behind again, and we could see another round of moving franchises if say the Canadian dollar goes completely in the tank, or major markets have severe economic crises that precipitate having to move the team. So they're going to have to get creative.
Go Milwaukee.
So I actually Cleveland, yeah.
We just started a team in Cleveland.
They did that though.
Yeah, the Crusaders. That's neither did
Barons. Well, they had the Crusaders in the WHA. They had the Barons in the NHL. That ended up having to go to Minnesota.
Yeah, but nothing in 74-75 worked out.
Yeah, that's true.
The Rockies didn't work. I mean, they went back. They get a team back, and the Scouts didn't work. So it's time to try new.
So I also have the Isles winning the trade deadline, at least the entire period of the trade deadline, picking up Palmieri, Zajac, and Coburn, addressing some of their needs. I think Coburn on a Barry Trotz team will be a very big pickup, a small one in the grand scheme of things, but will pay big dividends. Palmieri and Zajac will help supplement the loss of Anders Lee. So I think they're in a good position. I think that they're in the discussion for coming out of the East. Boston are getting nothing, or giving up nothing to get Taylor Hall. And that's a high risk reward one. I mean, the jury's out on that.
If it works, it works, but I don't think it's going to work because it's Taylor Hall.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Hall could go to Boston and just stink up the third or the second line, and then all of a sudden Boston's sinking in the East because they don't have the most tenuous. They have a pretty tenuous playoff position at this point. Not so much from Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia and the Rangers are tied on points, but the Rangers are charging, and I was surprised that you didn't see any moves from the Rangers. Rangers have always been a trade deadline team that just flopped it out, for all to see.
I think the Rangers are trying to figure out their place in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but
they have Zibanejad, and he's a one-man show.
Yeah, they're close enough though that they could have made a couple deals to shore up the back end for them. Because beyond Fox and K'Andre Miller, there's not a ton there. I mean, they've got some decent players, but I just don't think that they've worked well together. But there are other teams that stayed way too silent for the position that they're in. Minnesota didn't make a move. Anaheim only made that one move.
I think that Minnesota is going to be trying to pick up UFOs.
Yeah, but they're in a position this year to actually do something in the playoffs. I mean, they are in the same division as Vegas and Colorado, but still, you would like to see. If you were a Minnesota fan, you would like to have seen them pick up something.
So I'd like to think that Minnesota's come to terms with their situation and where they stand currently, and their game plan as it is to let everybody else spend their money at the trade deadline, and then they just get to sweep up UFAs and make a run next year. I feel like you might have a few teams that you're wondering why they didn't make trades that are trying to pull that off, and it does work. I mean, we see it every year.
Well, it does, but the problem is they still have how much money tied up in Suter and Parise, and eventually they're going to have to pay Kaprizov. He's just, he's making money every time he steps on the ice. It's a risky thing.
It's a risky business.
It is. St. Louis not doing a whole lot. That was surprising. Arizona didn't make a move at all.
That disappointed me.
Carolina, the only move was to get some protection on their defensemen from the expansion draft. Nashville did make a late move, but didn't do a whole lot, despite the fact that they've rocketed up the standings in the Central and have kind of taken a stranglehold on that fourth position.
I think the Nashville's in a ain't broke, don't fix it zone right now.
Yeah, but I mean, as quickly as it has turned around for them, it could always go back. I mean, it's the same players. You could, they've got a good hold on fourth, but you still got Dallas lurking in the back there. Although Dallas doesn't know what kind of team it is right now. They'll play a great game and then they'll drop another overtime game. I think they're up to 11 or 12 overtime and shootout losses.
Radulov to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't know if I would put Radulov in Los Angeles. I don't know that he would be a good influence on the young kids.
Yeah, man. He'd teach him how to pass a drug test regardless.
At a party. He knows how to party.
I mean, although you say, do they test for cocaine in Russian?
I think Tampa improved themselves by getting David Savard. I wasn't,
Tampa doesn't need improvement. That's the thing with Tampa.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they're they somehow did it. Like, yeah, Savard is not going to be your top pair defenseman, but he's going to be, he's going to make your third pair defenseman as hard to play against as your top pair because that it's just he's a good D man. What they got him for was a relative steal, and they're not paying hardly any of his salary, his remaining salary. So kudos to them. And then Panthers did all right. I'm not going to complain about their acquisitions. Bennett, I think is going to be a good fit for them. Montour, yeah, he's not a replacement for Aaron Ekblad, but good Lord. He was playing really well of late in Buffalo before he got traded. So
one thing that I really don't like is this follow signing.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's way too high for his age.
Yeah,
That should have been an $8 million contract instead of a $16 million contract.
I don't know.
I
mean,
guess it's what that veteran presence is worth to you, because it's definitely not his
4
on.
million is not a bad AAV for a decent player. Um, I'd rather have Iafallo than Hall. That's half the value right there. Um, I think you'd probably get some good value for him in a trade, still with that contract. So I don't think you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna get stuck with Iafallo if it gets to a point where your young guys are starting to um, uh, need contracts. I don't think you'll need you have to worry about that too much. Um, but
I like this headline. Hall just one of the guys with Bruins after trade from Sabres.
shut up, Paul.
Guess he's already making friends.
Yeah, just one of the guys.
Just one of the guys, man.
And
Hey,
losers. Who do you have losers on this?
I mean, there wasn't, Washington. The same win trade I have as a lose trade. There's not really any losers here. I feel like nobody got pressured out of anybody this year. There was no
a lot of tinkering around the edges.
There's no groundbreaking trades.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Mantha trade, that was just because it was so.
The biggest trade of this year is probably the Line trade, because Hall was going. Period.
Yeah.
Hall was gone. That's not a surprise. That's not news. That's where did he go? But we knew he would be gone.
Yeah.
I think that the Line Roslovic Pierre-Luc Dubois trade is pretty much the only trade that actually was like, wow, that happened. That felt like Fred Hull getting sent to Dallas.
But it really hasn't paid a whole lot of dividends for. Well, it didn't pay any dividends for Columbus.
No, it really hasn't done that much for Winnipeg
either. Yeah.
Really, the best piece of move there was Roslovic, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I was actually surprised Roslovic went in that trade, but anyway, for me, I've 3 trades, and Kevin Adams got worked like a $10 whore on Dollar Night. I mean, he was just you traded three pieces. You traded Eric.
It's 90% off, Dave.
That is 90% off. You traded Eric Stahl for a third and a fifth. You traded Brandon Montour for a third, and then you traded Eric Hall for a second. So, and here's the thing of it. Like, if we had a scouting department, I would be really excited. Like, okay, we can make something out of this draft. But this is also a draft year where we don't know anything really beyond that first round of players.
Oh no, you definitely have the scouting department. It's the Buffalo fan page on Facebook.
Yeah,
they just scream suggestions for Czechoslovakian pickups in the comments over and over.
Yeah, that's no. Don't ever listen to those guys.
Pro Squad.
Yeah. And let's see, who else did I have losing?
Like I said, I don't feel like anybody lost here. Like it was a lot of non-necessary trades.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was really tinkering around the edges. I'm disappointed that Anaheim didn't really get anything going. Like they were rumored to be asking for I think a first and a prospect for Raquel. And like
24 seconds into the third, it was scoreless, and then Detroit dropped one on.
Oh, there we go.
On dearly beloved's the Hurricanes.
Detroit
plays really well against Carolina for some reason.
Detroit's has their moments. They'll play good against a team that they shouldn't. Like They had a couple of games against Tampa that they won.
Detroit's like Brick from Anchorman saying something smart. Like, it can happen. It's just what's the likelihood it will.
Actually, the big loser was like used to be when I was a little bit younger, the trade deadline was like Christmas, man. It was like a big day, a bunch of moves, lots of it's like who's my team gonna get, who's my team gonna give up. It was I mean, most of the significant moves were made before the trade deadline, before the day, and then you had a flurry of activity at 3 o'clock, but they started the coverage here in the United States at 10 a.m. So you're talking 5 hours of nothing, reporting that Adam Gaudette getting traded out of Vancouver as the significant thing, and then basically roasting the Sabres for the Hall trade. So,
Detroit's going to be offsides.
Oh, is offside?
It's not declared offsides, but if it's not declared offsides, yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's under review. That one's going back for sure. Hey, all right, stay alive, Carolina.
There you
go. Yeah, man. No, I know what you're saying. It's just, I think that this year too has not been a good year for trades.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's the feasibility of it, especially whenever contracts aren't expiring. Player development is kind of halted because now everybody's just in survival mode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables to why trading doesn't work right now.
Yeah, and like this year we had 17 trades. I think that is it's definitely down from the year before, which is like 30 on trade deadline day. But getting a guy from players are like driving to get to their new destination, so they don't have to go in quarantine.
Yeah, but trades this year, there's two types of trades in this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's absolute necessity trades where you don't have a choice. You have to get rid of them or you're just going to lose money. And then there's absolute like hobby trades.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pick this guy up to see what he does, but he's not going to be a critical part of the team probably for a year.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's just, it's not as entertaining as I'd like it to be for the trade deadline. But
yeah, I'm ready to get past all this COVID bullshit, man.
I just want hockey back. I just want to go back to games.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go back to hockey games. I want to walk into a restaurant and not like either be looked at weird for being the only guy wearing a mask or be looked at weird for the only guy not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
You can alternate and you're always going to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, everything about this. Oh, wait, maybe not. They're still reviewing it. They've been reviewing
They simplified the offsides rule this year to kind of allow more plays to go on that had been considered offsides in the past, and I think they've just made it more difficult. It's kind of like the review of pass interference in football. Like, okay, yeah, now you can review that stuff, but you made it more difficult, and they never overturn that stuff.
It stands.
Ah.
And now Niederreiter's in the box.
Oh yeah, because they challenge gives
challenging
gives penalties. So, yep.
All right, but yeah, I'm ready for
real life, man.
I'm so weird because like I thrived in nothingness. Whenever there's just lockdown. Yeah. Lockdown was great for me. I went in the woods every day. I just lived in the woods the entire time. Yeah. So like I'd come back occasionally to eat. It was like a bear out there just sitting in trees and stuff. I wasn't even hunting. I was just sitting in trees.
Well, it was that Leonardo
Ron Swanson from the Parks and Rec. Yeah. And so I was either doing that. Like I wanted to either go back to the world just shuts down entirely and I get to go back to doing that, or we just open up entirely. Like I'm not cool with this like lukewarm medium. This is a very uncomfortable shower.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is. But Anyway, you got anything else for the week for the trade deadline spectacular?
I think I'm good, man. It wasn't that spectacular.
Yeah, it was not. It was not. Hopefully better days ahead. But more enjoyable hockey, not having to worry about trades or anything like that. So
It's just all prep work for
the playoffs, yeah, because it's really like most teams right now are about 15 games out of the end of their season. Although the NHL did announce that they are extending the season a week, and they have not announced a start to the playoffs yet. When the day that the playoffs are going to start, so.
I wonder how we're doing playoffs this year if everybody's going to a bubble again.
I don't know, because what happens if you get a situation like the Vancouver Canucks, one of the playoff teams? I mean, heaven forbid it's Toronto. Like if Toronto has to forfeit their playoff series, I'm sure that will burn down the city right there.
Yeah, I mean, oh, come on.
2-0?
No.
Another penalty?
5-on-3.
Yeah.
47 seconds.
So here's the interesting thing about the Hall trade is that first game out of the box is Buffalo and Boston tomorrow night. And they play like 6 times the rest.
Buffalo's going to stomp. Buffalo's going to eat.
I hope so. I
don't usually want Buffalo to win. Buffalo's so irrelevant. Other than you, I couldn't care less about Buffalo. I don't even mind that city exists. Half the time I forget the state of New York exists outside of New York City.
Yeah.
In Albuquerque. Or no, not Albuquerque. The other one with an A.
Albany?
So I got Dave on the mind here.
Albany?
Places Dave's Albany.
Yeah,
Rochester's cool too. But Binghamton. You know what? No, New York's okay. Anyway, Buffalo sucks as a city and as a team. But I do want to see them beat the Bears.
I mean, I do hope that they just kind of go hog wild and Taylor Hall just wilts like a flower in that game. And then all of a sudden all the Boston fans are going to realize, what did we do? 2-0? Yeah, we are still 3-2 with 9 minutes left in the third.
I'm embarrassed
Well,
to
I
be
don't know.
a part-time Carolina fan.
All right, the clock is frozen in the Montreal-Toronto game. It's stuck at 9 minutes left. I think this is a ruse by the Leafs to extend the game so they can tie it up.
It's KGB tricks.
Yeah. You're like, all of a sudden we realize it's 9 minutes left. Wait, what?
You know Putin's like 5'5"?
Yeah. But he knows like judo, so even if you beat judo, they'll poison you. So I mean, like, there's no gain in fighting.
They're just rape allegations.
Yeah.
Panarin.
Yeah.
What
assassinations or straight up assassinations?
Yeah. What bothers Americans? Rape and poison.
Yeah.
No, it's just weird to think that he's that short, though. Because he looks like.
Well, yeah, he's always shown,
So does Tom Cruise.
Hair and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Tom Cruise looks like a man-sized man.
And he's pocket-sized.
Tom Cruise is a little fella.
Yeah, he is. He sure is. All right, sir. Anything else for the week?
I think that we're pretty set.
All right. Well, we will see you guys Saturday night. Where are you going to be at Saturday?
It's a great question.
I will just be getting back from Bridgeport, so.
Is it the Clarksburg thing?
Or Clarksburg. Bridgeport. It's in Bridgeport.
Oh, that's even closer.
Yeah.
They got a hotel special for Libertarian Party.
It's like, I mean, I got a suite and it was like $119. So I mean, I think it's like $80 for a regular room.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, sir. I will see you next week, and we'll have
actually this week, this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And we'll have a good time.
We will.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And we will talk to you all next week. Bye.